Welcome everybody to the Wake Up Call channel. If you haven't heard yet, there's a new movie coming out from Scarlett Johansson called Fly Me to the Moon. And of course, it's more propaganda telling the truth right in plain sight. The propaganda, of course, is that it's supposed to be a fictional film about how they faked the moon landing, how they needed to record the moon landing, and the whole purpose of the moon landing, to beat Russia to the moon landing. And the reason they're talking about it in the year 2024 is because they can't contain their lies anymore. You see, when the moon landing, the fake moon landing occurred, there were no television recorders. There was no internet, obviously. So people weren't able to actually watch frame by frame the actual moon landing that aired on national television at the time. But as technology has evolved to their benefit, there's also a lot of things that have caused harm to the New World Order, like people actually watching the bullcrap that they're getting fed and slowing things down and seeing the lies for themselves. So Scarlett Johansson, I have to play for you an interview and some of these clips, of course, on how they deflect the truth in plain sight. And Scarlett Johansson, the plot of this film, the premise is that during the 1960s space race between the U.S. and the Soviet Union, relationship develops between the NASA director in charge of the Apollo 11 launch and the marketing specialist who's brought in to fix NASA's public image and stage a backup fake moon landing. And of course, before I show you the clip, I've got to show you just some of the pictures I've shown you over the years where we could see exactly who Scarlett Johansson is, right? It's all seeing eye symbolism over and over. I've shown you Scarlett Johansson on magazine covers, very similar to Marina Abramovich, where we see these satanic poses. We've seen Lucy, of course, the film that shows a lot of what's going on in the world, right? With that black goo and that transformation. But Scarlett Johansson is, of course, just like every celebrity, someone who has gone through CIA mind control programming. They show you this and reveal themselves to you when they show you images of them with monarch butterflies or just butterflies in general. There's not an obsession with butterflies in Hollywood. This, of course, is the truth being revealed in plain sight. And that is why Scarlett Johansson, just like all these other celebrities, are famous. They are government assets. Look at this interview from ScarJo, mocking, of course, conspiracy theories, and watch some clips from the trailer about, again, how they faked the moon landing.
We're back with one of our favorites, Scarlett Johansson. She has wowed us with action movies, made us cry with heart-wrenching dramas. It's a good intro, right? And her newest movie is a twist on the rom-com. It's called Fly Me to the Moon, and Scarlett plays an advertising executive tasked with selling Americans on the idea of the Apollo 11 moon mission. And tell me how this idea came about.
Well, the idea came about, so I have a production company here in New York called These Pictures, and one of our associates, our head of film, Keenan, just was toying around with this idea of like, well, what if this conspiracy theory was true? What could you build a genre movie around?
Like this conspiracy theory is that the moon landing was fake.
Yes, that's the one.
So
public support for the moon mission is rock bottom. NASA needs a marketing specialist, and you are the very best.
I work here now to sell the moon.
NASA's not something that you sell with a jingle and a slogan.
When I'm done, those men are going to be bigger than the Beatles. You told me that your guys don't do interviews, so I had to hire new guys.
I'm here for the casting. Who's he?
You're a juicy part.
I flew 52 missions in Korea.
I flew 52 missions in Korea. How's that?
The whole world will be watching. We need to shoot the backup version of the moon landing.
You mean to fake it? No one can ever know what we're doing. You mean to fake it?
Yes, as you heard, what if this conspiracy theory was true? Well, of course it's true, and they're only bringing attention to it because when they put things out in movies that are true, the majority of people take it as fiction because they go to the movies thinking that these people are acting. And what they're showing you is actually the truth in movies and fiction on the news. It's an upside down world that we're living in, and that's how they control the perception of reality, by telling you lies and making you think that all of the things that they tell you on the news are true, when in fact they're nothing more than works of fiction. So for anybody out there that didn't know, if you're new to all this stuff, pretty much every single astronaut that we've all heard of, from Buzz Aldrin to John Glenn Jr. They're all Freemasons. All of these actors that are put in these prominent positions are all networked together and all take a secret oath of loyalty to their brotherhood to lie and deceive the people of the earth. And these are now all the people in politics, in Hollywood, in corporations, heads of corporations who are responsible for all this chaos that's going on around the world. And they want you to think that you're responsible or some of these leaders are bad apples, but they're all working together. And of course, we've seen Buzz Aldrin over the years, holding the 666 up over his eye. Buzz Aldrin prominently, not hiding this at all, his affiliation to Freemasonry and the Scottish Rite. You can even see some of the photos of him with his little Shriner's hat. You can see his Masonic ring with his crescent moon. Even some of the poses he's done on magazine covers. These are all Masonic poses. And of course, the Freemasons aren't hiding the fact that it's all fake either. The Scottish Rite flag supposedly went to the moon, but it really just went on the set, of course, that they filmed the moon landing on. But take a look at this clip where they're bragging about the Scottish Rite flag, where you could see prominently the 33rd degree Freemason, all these things that are always exposed on this channel, right in front of your faces. The Masons telling you, hey, don't be suspicious that Buzz Aldrin was a Freemason, and don't be suspicious that he brought the Masonic Scottish Rite flag to the moon.
Hi, I'm Joshua Poole, Museum Curator here at the Scottish Rite House of the Temple in Washington, D.C. Today it is my pleasure to be able to speak to you about the Scottish Rite flag that went to the moon in 1969. Knowing that Buzz Aldrin would be taking part in the Apollo 11 mission, the Supreme Council thought it would be nice if he could take something Masonic with him to infinity and beyond, because he was going where no man, or Mason for that matter, had ever gone before. See what I did there? The Supreme Council felt that a flag that represented the Supreme Council and Freemasonry in general would do the job. So the flag was hand-sewn by Inga Baum, who was the librarian of the Supreme Council in 1969. The flag itself is white silk. It is edged by a band of gold and embroidered with the words, the Supreme Council, 33rd degree, Southern Jurisdiction, USA, the Southern Jurisdiction motto, Deus me umque jus, the double-headed eagle, the crown of the 33rd degree, the insignia of the Grand Commander, and the insignia of a Master Mason. After the Apollo 11 mission on September 16, 1969, Buzz Aldrin visited the House of the Temple in Washington, D.C. and presented the flag to Grand Commander Luther Smith. Since then, the flag has remained in the custody of the House of the Temple's Archives and Museum Department. In an article about the Buzz Aldrin flag in the December 1969 issue of the New Age magazine, the historical significance of the Apollo 11 mission and its meaning for Masonry were discussed. So, does the landing on the moon have anything to do with Masonry? I think this article put it nicely by ending with this quote: "When man reaches new worlds, Masonry will be there." This flag's presence during the historic lunar expedition symbolizes Masonry's universal appeal. Masonry has been at the forefront of progress and human enlightenment since its beginnings, and will continue to be. This flag serves as a reminder of this. So, Masonry will always be there and will continue to boldly go where no man has gone before.
So again, and if you look closely on that Supreme Council 33 flag that Buzz Aldrin's so proudly holding up, you also notice not just the Masonic compass, but that cross on the other side, which is a famous cross, Aleister Crowley's Baphomet X cross, or some call it the Baphomet cross. Even Crowley, on some documents that we've seen over the years, signed the documents by signing it with that cross and writing Baphomet next to it. And of course, we know Aleister Crowley's connection to NASA and Jack Parsons. For those of you that don't know, I have videos on the website about Jack Parsons. They recently put out a TV show, Strange Angel, glorifying Jack Parsons, putting out headlines about the supposed man who invented the first rocket engine. The headline says the occult sex magician who sent America to space, and how he got his own TV show. Strange Angel tells the story of Jack Parsons, the man who invented rocket fuel and spread the gospel of British occultist Aleister Crowley, because the two of them were as thick as thieves. And how convenient that the ritual that Parsons and Crowley and L. Ron Hubbard performed out in the desert was right around the area we know as Area 51, where they summoned that demon, Lom. Now, let me play for you out of Buzz Aldrin's own mouth, as well as some other people out there, scientists, talking about how fake all this stuff really is, including a clip that I think is absolutely hilarious of astronauts in space who throw a microphone across on a rope to one another to make the illusion of gravity look real, and then 2 seconds later drop a ball that doesn't seem to come back up to the surface, and then every one of the astronauts panics to try to pick up the ball because, well, they're immediately showing you that this stuff's all make-believe. Take a look.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen, so in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something stopped in the past that we wanted to keep it going. But I think I know. Because we didn't.
I remember very clearly, I think anybody who was alive at the time does, I remember my parents waking me up and we went down and we watched you guys land on the moon.
No,
which
you
was
didn't. No, you didn't.
What?
Because there wasn't any television. There wasn't anybody taking a picture. You watched animation. See, you associated what you saw with...
I have very hazy memories.
Yeah, I know.
Well, no, but what we saw was we all were gathered around the old curved top radio and listened.
Talking about, how many feet we were going to the left and right, and then I said, contact light, engine stop.
It was
and a few
exciting.
other things, and then Neil said, Houston, Tranquility Base, the Eagle has landed. Man, how about that?
That was very exciting.
Not a bad line.
Inspired so many people to enter the sciences. How do you balance science with science fiction?
They're both the same. The mystery of science fiction is what I'm talking about. Science and science fiction are essentially the same.
Why are you sitting in your chair today? Does gravity pull you to the floor? No. There is no such thing as gravitational pull. We lied to you.
First of all, we are born scientists. When we're born, we wonder what's out there. We begin to wonder about the sun, life, the stars, what makes the oceans, the weather. We're born scientists. And then something happens. When we hit the danger years of junior high school and high school, that's when it's literally crushed out of us.
Those are the worst.
Every little flower of curiosity, said Einstein, is crushed by society itself. Because we have to learn all these facts, figures, memorization. We think that memorization is science. And that's not true at all.
So out of his own mouth, he admits to space being fake, the moon landing being fake. But most people out there will refuse to accept that because the moon landing itself is one of the hardest things to wake people up to, even though it should be one of the easiest. Because it is something that people hold dear to their heart, especially people who are elderly. They watched it as a kid. They refuse to believe that it's fake. There's even people who think that they're awake, or as they call themselves, red-pilled, who still believe space is real and still believe in the moon landing. You'll see a lot of these people argue about the shape of the earth and other things along those lines. But let's be real. The moon landing could potentially be one of the fakest things we've seen, other than, of course, them telling us that planes hit towers or that some type of a shooting occurred at a school that was a pop-up school in a pop-up area known as the Hook up at the Sandy, right? We have nothing but fake news around us, and the moon landing is one of the fakest. Out of his own mouth, he admits to the entire thing being fake, right? right? You could see his connection to Freemasonry, so you know his tie-ins to the occult. And of course, I showed you Aleister Crowley, Buzz Aldrin with that flag that has Aleister Crowley's the Baphomet cross, the Baphomet X on it, right on that flag, which shows you the affiliation between the occult and Freemasonry. And how funny is it when we watch these people pretend to be in space, when they do things like throw the microphone across on a rope and they all act amazed, and then 2 seconds later the guy drops a ball and everybody goes to pick it up, and then nobody picks it up because, of course, they're scrambling. Because it's supposed to levitate back up in the air. It's supposed to float. It's not even supposed to drop at all. But it just conveniently dropped right to the ground, and you could see the grins on their faces and the laughs on their faces because, well, the whole thing is hilarious. But the majority of people out there are living in an alternate reality where they believe that these things that they're told on the news are actually real. And we're at a point where we see them backpedaling. We see how they have to put disinformation out in these movies, right? Where they're really telling you the truth, but they're mocking it. So they tell you that a movie about NASA faking the moon landing and hiring a marketing specialist, they tell you, well, the plot is just, we're mocking the conspiracy theorists and just saying, what if that was actually true? This creates something in the mind of the sheeple out there to even more so believe that we're all crazy. That's how this whole works. They go and they get programmed by these movies that they're told are fiction, when they're actually showing you truth in these movies they're telling you are fiction. And then every single thing they're telling you is happening in the world on the news is all scripted. That is how we live in an upside down. So Fly Me to the Moon, you can't make it up. I mean, you can't make it up with even how they get away with creating premises like this, telling you that it's flat out make-believe, and then, trying to sugarcoat all these other things that surround it. Like, you never hear the alt-right, right? They'll never talk about the moon landing being fake and go into detail about Aleister Crowley and Jack Parsons, the connection to Freemasonry, the Scottish Rite flag on the moon, and of course all the pictures of Buzz Aldrin, and then quoting out of his own mouth telling you that they never went to the moon. I mean, this stuff is so easy to see for anybody with eyes to see and ears to hear. So Fly Me to the Moon, more mockery right in front of our faces, folks. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families, as always.